All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's start talking about hash marks. I'm going to call this video Hash Marks 101. So, understanding hash marks really isn't important when developing your Madden base, your Madden fundamental base, but hash marks become pretty daggone important the higher and higher and higher you get in the Madden community. The better you get at the game, the more importance you'll actually see that hash marks play a role in these things. So the reason why hash marks is important is because typically I'm in practice mode right now. This is what you're seeing on your screen. People will get in practice mode and they will practice plays, practice defenses, practice everything with the ball in the middle of the field. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. You can get very good looks, very great looks actually. They'll cover pretty much all your bases if you're playing, average level opponents to pretty good opponents. But when you're playing great opponents, they go that extra mile to dig in deep and find every little bit about the game. And hash marks are one of those things. So you need to understand the importance of hash marks in creating schemes, as well as understanding how having the ball on one hash or the other could affect the spacing of certain plays that you run, as well as how it affects the defense. If you're on defense, how your defense is being affected. Your curl flat zone may be affected differently. Your cloud flat zone may be affected differently. Maybe your hook curl doesn't get as far over as you think it would. It might change depending on which hash mark the ball is on. So let's get started real quick as an example to show you just slight things that people just take for granted when talking about hash marks. So I'm just in like an I form twins formation. Now we're not worrying about the play whatsoever right now. I just want to show you how the hash mark just affects the formation and how greatly it affects the formation depending on what you want to do. So we're in a regular formation. I form twins. Ball middle of the field. I did nothing special. Look at the spacing of where the ball is, your tight end, your running backs, and both wide receivers on the left side of the screen. Look at them. See where they're positioned. Now let's move the ball to the left side, to the left hash. See what happens. Uh-oh. They've compressed. Now you have to think about it. How can this help and how can this hurt whatever I may be trying to do? Now, if you're trying to run the ball, look at what's happened. The ball's on the left hash now. You have the whole right side of the field, field-wise, to run the ball. Of course, whatever the defense does, whatever they align, that could change things. But just off of just basic, semantics, you have way more room to run the ball to the right side of the field. Not only that, you have now more compressed blockers to the left side of the field for you to be able to help run the ball. So that's just one way that, hash marks changes this formation for the better or the worse, depending on what you want to do. Now, a way it could be a negative, now I just mentioned the positive, the run game, the positive is amazing if you have like this formation on the left hash. Now, a negative could be, man, both of my wide receivers are now easier to guard now. They're not taking up as much space. They're, like I said, they're compressed. Now maybe one defender could guard two of these guys by himself, depending on what route you throw out there. You never know. Those things you have to test, but just the basic spacing of it, of this whole formation in the pass game has been affected from the ball being on the left hash. Now, let's put the ball on the right hash and see the difference. Now the ball's on the right hash, and now these receivers that are on the left side of the field, they have way more space. They can flourish way better than before. Now, if we're talking about the run game, let's say we still have the boundary, the right side of the field, to run the ball. That you can still be very successful running the ball towards the boundary side. That is still an option for you. But what you've also done in the run game is you created more running lanes. Now, not like before with X and B, they aren't compressed anymore. They're spread out. That gives you more alleyways for your running back to find holes. Now, before, when it was compressed, that gives you more of a chance to get to the outside. Now, you don't have as many lanes, but you have a direct path to get to the, let me show you real quick. When they're compressed, it gives you more of a direct avenue to get to the outside left if you're running the ball to the left side of the field. But if the ball's on the right hash, it gives you more running lanes. Now, you could run in the alleyway where the hash mark is. You have this alleyway to run. You also have this alleyway to run. It gives you more reads to make things happen. So that is just a basic way. Like I said before, also the wide receivers are more spread out. You can run more spread concept passing wise. You can run those concepts easier because they're actually spread out. You're taking advantage of having these elite athletes on the outside. Those are just like the basics of how formations can be affected by the hash marks. Also, defenses. I mentioned before. This with everything defensively, you have to test it. You have to test all your zones, how they are affected versus almost every route in the game, depending on what hash it's on. Left hash, right hash, boundary, open side of the field, middle of the field. It all plays a factor because the way Madden is going right now, it's all pattern read zones now. It's all computer generated. They have a mind of their own. Now, the more you understand what variables affect them, the better you are able to defend certain pass concepts. Now, just for an example, like I said, you have to test everything. This curl flat to the boundary. He may play this outside way better than this other guy who has he's playing to the field. He may just get up in this area, but everything towards outside the numbers, he may just leave for the taking. You never know. Same thing if they're hard flats, space with hard flats. It may affect if he's able to attack a regular flat route by the B receiver. He may the spacing may hurt that. The compression may hurt that. Who knows? You have to test all of these things. So we went over, how you should test everything on all hash marks as well as middle of the field. How, formations are affected if you run them to the boundary as well as to the field. You've seen the basics of that. That applies to dang near every formation in the game. Now, before I even get off track and end this video, I know it's going pretty long right now. One formation, hopefully it's in this game. Okay, it's in here. So I'm just going to run a play from single back ace just so we can see. Some formations, you'll see it mostly from like the heavier formations, the big body formations, the single back aces, the I form heavies and stuff like that have receivers on the outside. Look at the X receiver. Both outside receivers actually in this formation, they stay in that same location no matter where the ball is. If the ball is in the middle of the field, they will stay, like 3 yards outside the numbers? They'll stay 3 yards outside the numbers no matter where the ball is. And that is crucial. That's important. Like I see the balls in the middle of the field, they're both in the same location. Balls in the left hash right now, they're going to be in the same exact location. Now that's crucial because some formations get all their juice from having their wide receivers actually out wide and staying out wide. And this is one of those formations that benefits extremely from their receivers having that particular type of spacing. So And what that allows you to do, let's say for instance, don't worry about what the defense is doing, but it allows you to take advantage of, the B receiver. He's gonna stay out wide. He's gonna have that location. It allows you to actually work the slant game. It allows you to work, the curl game, the comeback game, smoke screen game, depending on if it's effective in that certain game. Now, let's go to the left side of the field. Knowing that the X receiver is always going to be in that location, even if the ball's on the left hash, that allows you to easier work this route combo, post flat route combo, the isolation speed out. It allows that to be extremely effective because he's wide enough that the overhang player that's over top the tight end can't affect it with most zones, but he's still close enough that it's an easy, quick, short throw for the quarterback to make that's hard for the outside cornerback to break on the ball. So that is something I also wanted to make sure you guys understand about hash marks. There are certain formations that the outside receivers won't adjust with where the ball's being placed. They'll just stay in that set location, and that has benefits like I mentioned just now. So again, test everything offensively and defensively. There are no bad formations in the game. You just have to understand how to utilize them and understand how the hash marks using hash marks correctly could definitely boost the stock of certain formations. So hopefully you guys learned something. This is some pretty good information that normally you won't pick up. It'll take you a while to pick up if you try to do it on your own. Learn it on your own. It's something you pick up over time, but I'm giving it straight to you guys. So hopefully you guys are able to take this information and level up in Madden.